Okay, we're here on October 9th, 2003, examining the property owned by Jerry Phillips and Lloyd Holt in Tishomingo, or outside of Tishomingo, Oklahoma. I believe it's in Emmet, Oklahoma. And this is the site as we've found it. Our van parked here. It's approximately 10:20 in the morning. Okay, entering the main plant exactly as we found it. Just to redo this shot, it looks like my lighting was off a little bit before. Apparently this is part of the plasma and this, my father Lloyd Holt had no idea what it was, where it came from. It appears to be a filtering device. And there's a second plasma unit back here in the corner, apparently not being used. Filtering unit, plates and parts for additional plasma units, and then of course over here the frames for the plasma units. And it looks like this unit is not related to the business that Lloyd Holt and Jerry Phillips are involved in. This looks like more of a gold panning operation, but not part of the business my dad, Lloyd Holt, is invested in. This is a bucket of ore or processed material found in a bucket. Not sure what it is. Okay.
Okay.
That
shows how frequently it's been used.
This is the women's bathroom at the plant. This room was supposedly built with Lloyd Holt's money so that Carolyn Phillips would have a place to go to the bathroom when she was here doing her office work. Obviously this bathroom is never used. In fact, it was locked when we got here. Corner's making another one.
This has to be what they're flushing the water through.
This is just for exercise. That's for doing this.
Yeah.
Well, I sure wish that there were a pile of minerals sitting around here.
We'll look forward to I'm going to take a batch of this.
Here are some other samples that we found in the corner of the plant. They were stacked on top of one another in various stages of being processed. Okay, then coming from the plant into a shed and storage building, and I guess the water pump is in here as well. This is how we found it. Filled, it looks like, with the personal items of Jerry Phillips, clothes and tools and who knows what. Looks like another gold panning thing, nothing that Lloyd Holt would have invested in. Just a general storage area. Obviously no work going on in here. This was a piece of equipment that Lloyd Holt invested in. Apparently it was never used, and now in storage. Wait a second. Okay.
This material we bought at the military resources area, and we were going to use it to disintegrate the ore and make it into pulverized material, and that would all come through here and be blown out the outside. We were interested in this motor for a lot of different purposes. But,
And you paid how much for it?
We paid $500 for it.
With the idea that Jerry said it was worth how much?
It was worth $10,000 on any market.
And is it in the same condition that you bought it?
Negative. It is. It didn't come with rust, and it had much more on top of the way of piping material. This has been taken apart. All of this has been taken apart, and who knows what's missing on the inside. I don't know if this electric motor is still good or not, having set out in the air for and rain and humidity for 3-4 years now. These boxes were to be used to carry the finished ore in.
That's okay.
You've got it. And they were going to take and use this to ship the ore from on the Alaska cruise. That was. They were going to take these and turn them into units that they take and put the finished ore into, and it was going to be cleaned when they got it back. Whether they used it or not, I don't know.
Okay, now we've traveled to the town of Milton, where Jerry Phillips keeps his lab. We're in the back room of the lab. Here's a press. Let me just give a wide shot of what this place looks like. And just various equipment. Lloyd Holt says that he paid for this piece of equipment over here, these pieces. And back through the shop, there is this apparatus, which is not part of anything that Lloyd Holt is involved in. Has no idea what that process is. There are a number of samples of ore in various stages here. And this is a little plasma unit, again paid for by Lloyd Holt. And looks like general equipment, lab supplies. Back to another part of the lab. Again, we have different ores, different stages of being worked on. One of these, this one in the red bucket, was Tomaszewski, which Lloyd Holt and Jerry Phillips worked with together. Back to this section of the lab. Different samples. Again, these bottles are labeled Tomaszewski from November of 2002. Those samples were worked on. And a lot of other just samples. Now just coming in from that back lab room, we come into kind of a receiving area or storage area. There is some ore here that Lloyd Holt believes comes from Tomaszewski because of its unique tan color. There is no name listed on that.
Have been done. You can see that this is the old personal property that's involved in this
Okay, now we're in a different section of the lab building.
on the north side.
On the north side, we came through a side door out into this area. Just a storage area for a lot of personal property, some equipment. Just a lot of stuff. Apparently just not being used, just being stored. And Lloyd Holt says that he paid for the renovation of the roofing to make this suitable to move this stuff in here. We'll go back a little further. These must be the canisters you were talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay, those are the canisters that Jerry brought in from a previous partner that passed away.
These are to be used in the filtration of gold water.
This is hard to see back here in the corner in the dark, but this is a Brown's gas unit that Lloyd Holt says he paid between $7,000 and $9,000 for, and now just sitting idle in the back of this storage area. On this. So the first part of the process, you've already put the minerals in?
No.
No? So you said 2 to 2.5 inches of water.
Of metals. You could liken to that as to turquoise being the mineral or salts of copper. But it's not a metal by itself. In fact, turquoise is just an example. All metals can be found in nature in a mineral state. That's never been addressed, except in the copper industry. But basically, mining programs are not designed to convert the minerals of metals to metallic state. And that's what this does. So within this program, you would start off, for instance, as an example, we're not going to put that much in here, but if we were to put in, say, a pound into this material, by the time it's completely treated, it weighs somewhere around 5 pounds of material. It's because you're taking the salts or minerals of metals and bombarding with billions of electrons and convert them to metallic beadlets. Another example, and I presume you may not have this background to understand this, but that's okay. Most people don't. You can readily dissolve gold in a solution called aquaretia. That's nitric hydrochloric in distilled water. When you take gold, put it in a beaker with aquaretia, within a few hours, it's totally dissolved. Now what you have then is a solution that is typical to what we can conceive could be found in nature. The metal, the gold that you put in there, is no longer in a metallic state. It's in an ion. Now, to make that metallic, but before we make it metallic, let's take it and we distill it all the way down to where it's almost dry in the bottom of the beaker. You take a small spatula and take out a few grams of the material that's in the bottom of the beaker that 2 hours before was a lump of gold. Rather, to be more precise, it would be, say, a gold powder. Now, when you look at that material at the end of a 2-hour program, when you look at that material, it is salts or minerals of gold. And it would be aptly referred to as gold 3, if not metallic. But we found that that is very common in nature, gold 3 or salts of gold. So if you were to take a half a pound of gold 3, which is the salts or minerals of gold, be like comparing turquoise to copper. Turquoise is the salts or mineral of copper. It's not metal. But if you were to take that and put it in this reactor, within a matter of a few minutes, it would make billions of tiny beadlets of metal. So that's what we're hoping to show you here, is that this reactor then takes minerals of metals. You have 1 pound of material. You put it in the reactor and take it through its stages, and then you weigh it, and you've got 4, 5, 6 pounds of material. To a layman, to anyone with common sense, to say, how in the world could that be? But that is just a fact of metallurgical chemistry. That's exactly what takes place. Most programs in the United States are not designed to do that. They're only addressed to extract the actual metal. That's what they're really designed to do.
Okay.
Make sure because of the ground you don't,
Heavy sign.
okay. Now we already have the water in, so we'll start it moving. We've already set the machine over here on the left. And this is something just for the sake of your own knowledge. Take a picture of it and then make a diagram of it and actually very carefully see the numbers and interpolate those onto your hand drawing in case the video doesn't pick it up precisely. If you think it'll pick it up precisely, then that's fine. Okay.
This is 300 grams of ore and 100 grams of silica. And we're going to mix them together.
And the silica is like ball bearings to insulate the heads from the bottom. The silica makes sure that it gauges, it's like an insulator gauge. It gauges the bottom and doesn't let it come in dead contact with the bottom, because after all, this is quite a powerful power unit. If we didn't have that, there would be the possibility the head would literally weld to the bottom. So we don't want that to happen. So the silica is very important to help gauge it. Estimate that one operator can probably operate about 3 of these. Once you get one started, and then tune it up and get it running, then you move to the second one and do the same thing with it. And then, obviously, then you vacuum them out on about the same ratio, which the first one would be the second and the third one.
What kind of a torque do you have on this, Houston? Just so it's snug?
much sound. It's only a 300 amp machine, so we're at 240, 260 something amps.
What are your goals for volts and amps on here? Obviously they're jumping around, but
That's why it's hard to tell you what the frequency should be. It does that till it kind of seats itself in a little bit, starts making beads.
Takes a few minutes before it starts.
I'd give it 250 amps. It'll take a few minutes for it to do that. Steady down.
is that the sound you're looking for?